Moses has ordered us in the law to condemn women like this to death by stoning. What have you to say? They asked him this as a test, looking for something to use against him. But Jesus bent down and started writing on the ground with his finger. As they persisted with their question, he looked up and said, "If there is one of you who has not sinned, let him be the first to throw a stone at her." Then he bent down and wrote on the ground again. When they heard this, they went away one by one, beginning with the elders, until Jesus was left alone with the woman, who remained standing there. He looked up and said, "Woman, where are they? Has no one condemned you?" "No one, sir," she replied. Neither. Dear friends, our gospel scene today presents us with a scenario of life or death. It's quite a worrying situation. In recent times, some countries around our region has also introduced stoning for adultery, death by stoning. And so it is not uncommon. And in the time of Jesus, this was the punishment for adultery. For the woman caught in adultery, she was dragged through a public humiliation, and she was literally staring death in the face. It was, her life was dependent on the word that Jesus would say. If he had said, yeah, she deserved death, they would have stoned her. For the scribes and the Pharisees, she was merely a convenient pawn to be used for their evil and political gains. Their real interest was not her sin, but using her to trap Jesus into a difficult situation. So, okay, she was, not living the devout life, but she was used to trap Jesus for their own reason. The issues before Jesus were complex. He had his enemies to contend with, the scribes and the Pharisees, and he had the life of this poor woman hanging on his words. In the name of God, the scribes and the Pharisees were prepared to pass a judgment and to condemn this woman to death for adultery. They quoted Moses. They said, Moses gave us a law, and in this law, this woman should die. They used scripture for their authority. Moses, because Moses was the one who gave the law to them. How they applied the law was justice that was being exercised with vindictiveness, and it was punitive. If you committed something wrong, you deserve to die. Jesus, on the other hand, what did he do in our gospel scene? He bent down and wrote something on the ground with his finger. What do you think it was? Was he playing noughts and crosses on the ground? What was he scribbling in the sand? It's a question that we sometimes ask. What was he writing? This woman is in public view, condemned to death, and here he is scribbling something in the sand. This action of Jesus recalls what Moses described in the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 9, verse 10, when Moses told the people how he received the 10 Commandments. Deuteronomy 9:10 he said, when God gave me the 2 stone tablets, it was inscribed by the finger of God. These 2 stone tablets was inscribed by the finger of God, the 10 commandments. You see the connection. You see the similarity. By the finger of God, Jesus was scribbling something in the sand. In our gospel scene, we have Jesus as the new Moses. The new Moses who now gives a new commandment. By the finger of God, Jesus will give us a new commandment of love. And it is given in his action that day. Here, Jesus completes the old law. He did not deny the need for justice, but that justice is tempered by love and by mercy. It wasn't just raw justice. If you recall the words of Jesus in Matthew's Gospel, chapter 5, verse 17, Jesus said, Do not imagine that I have come to abolish the law or the prophets. I have come not to abolish, but to complete them. Jesus was the fullness of this revelation of the mind and the intention of God. Indeed, Jesus came not to condemn or to inflict death, but to forgive and to give life. This is the full picture of God's eternal design. Jesus came to reveal the complete picture. So Lent, dear friends, Lent invites us to also journey into the mind of Jesus Christ. In our own lives, we should pray that in this Lent, we might have the grace to encounter, to know and to encounter the liberating love and mercy of God. Lent should not bring us to worry about the punishing, angry God, but to encounter the face of Christ, that is love and mercy, as in today's gospel. Indeed, dear friends, more than all the fasting and the abstinence that we do in Lent, perhaps Lent invites us, asks of us, to make this great sacrifice of forgiveness. When we talk about Lent, we worry about a sliver of char siu in our noodles. Whether we are observing Lent, if we took a sliver of meat. Is this what Lent is about? Is it arguing about whether there is meat or no meat? Whether we eat fish? Okay, you don't eat meat, so fish, you could go for lobsters. What is the spirit of Lent? Oysters, by the way, is not meat. What is the spirit of Lent? So perhaps the great sacrifice we are invited through today's gospel is the sacrifice of forgiveness. Why sacrifice? Because to forgive is very difficult, isn't it? All of us, we carry a certain unforgiveness. People who have hurt us, people who have betrayed us, people who continue to hurt us and to betray us. Perhaps a forgiveness that we should have extended decades ago. Search our own hearts. If today in Lent, God gives you the grace to know in your heart of hearts who you should be forgiving, then thank God, because He's showing us perhaps we should offer this forgiveness, this sacrifice, this Lent. Over time, perhaps we carry this hurt, because unforgiveness results from a hurt. So maybe over time, we carry this hurt, and this memory has calcified in our hearts. So much so that our hearts have become hardened and it is stone cold. Stone cold. I witness many families, sometimes husband and wife, when a hurt has happened decades ago, their relationship is stone cold. There is no warmth. They are just living together, existing together, but there is no life, because the heart has become stone cold. Lend, ask of us, ask for the grace of God to take away our hearts of stone and to give us a heart of flesh. To once again allow it to beat with the rhythm of God's love. So let's pray, dear friends, at this Eucharist, that our Easter mysteries will help us to roll away our hearts of stone, and out of this empty tomb, it will bring forth new life for you and for me.